Yeah, welcome to our second panel in the framework of today's conference. And we're delightful to moderate this session. My name is Kanat. I'm Senior PR Communication in inDrive, and I'm responsible for the non-commercial projects, like inVision here. And it's great pleasure to moderate this session with distinguished speakers, because just in the first hour session, we discussed about AI, and how AI is transforming the university and education models. And here, we want to talk about the employer side, because it's also important how we can navigate in the future, in our future careers, because sometimes companies changing faster than universities, and AI transform them rapidly. And that's why we want to hold a discussion with our speakers, guests, who agreed to be here. And actually, for me, as a person who always was employed for the different companies, I was looking for the companies, and I understood that it's not only about my professionalism, but it's also about the expectation from employer and what he wants, what he expects from me. And as was said, and as was mentioned during the first panel, PR and marketing goes first. I mean, changed by AI. So I'm a bit worried now. And it's better to know the expectations from our employers. And today we have several speakers. First, it's Genry Meyerberg, the founder of HMA2 Architects. He's a visionary of architecture in design, and he works in a field where creativity meets technology. Yeah, and where AI is beginning and start shaping the industry. We have Eldar Brazakov from Centra, entrepreneur, businessman, who brings deep expertise from the technology and knows better how in the forefront of digital transformation the expectations of employers works. And our third speaker, Romana Tachans from inDrive, who is responsible for the AI integration in the processes of inDrive company, who is a now global mobility platform across the globe and working in 48 countries. So, welcome. And my first questions most probably goes to you, Henry. Yeah, it's about your industry, because architecture is more about human-centric design. And most probably you already see how AI is shaping your current employees and new hirings. What's changed 5 years ago and now? Do you prefer some skills in new employees when you're hiring somebody? Or you prefer maybe ready talent, who already knows AI, or maybe it's not important for you and you prefer much more in other specifics?
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for Andrew and inVision University inviting me to participate in this thing. I got to tell you something. I'm just starting to learn about AI, okay? And because of this subject of this conference, you've made me think about this question more and more. And so I've also been actually thinking, it's not about new hires, it's actually about the people I have already as first. And the point is, what I'm learning here today is that it's a tool to help people do better at what they do. All right, and so I've been now released and sort of I've given up some control on some of my existing staff to say, okay, in fact, I said this week, while I'm up here for these last few days, I want everyone there to kind of experiment in their own ways, what kinds of software they should be using from AI. We've been using Midjourney, okay, as a kind of testing it out, but we don't know enough. But now I sort of said, let's spend time, let's slow down. I think it's what Chris said. I need to slow down to understand about AI. And I think that's the kind of thing that makes me think a little bit more about thinking about staff and new people. Do I think they need to be AI literate? Yes. Am I AI literate yet? No. Am I going to get there? I think I am. Because that's, you have to be, the most important tool that we have as humans is curiosity. Okay, we own that, and we have instincts as well. We had to leverage those.
Thank you, thank you. And the next question, which is the same, goes to you, Eldar, because you are most driven in terms of tech, industry, and AI is an integral part of your job. So what's the difference between 5 years ago and maybe now, between choosing and hiring the new employees?
No, it's not even 5 years. We may compare with the previous year.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Today, it's certainly AI, and we have this introduction of UI. It's quite an extensive. And we consider that on the AI side, we're more focused in what we call model ops. We've been working for the last 5 years on the algorithms to help us with the algorithms. But today, we have the 3 lines of AI using, and we have the Gen AI, which is helping us everywhere, starting from what you mentioned on creating the starting PR news or creating the new vision or videos or something. It's today is helping a lot, and certainly it's helping us to faster learning. I stopped reading books because I just use Gen AI today because I just ask for the summary, and that it kills. That is, I'm book lover, but it's today when you have you ask to summarize or something, you save so much time. That is what we consider it's an AI assistant. It's helping us a lot, and it's everywhere. And here we have the different models. We have the internal champions in the company who is actually producing and trying something, writing proper prompts or something, and sharing with others. Another area, what we call today, it's more agentic AI. And we have it's more routine killers, which is today we're trying to connect, and it's today with the agentic AI. It's a basic routine stuff, but it's helping today to connect. And usually, it depends on the level of the company, but in our company in 2012, we brought everything to one ERP system. And we created, that time was no recognition of microservices or something, and then later I learned that we became what is monolithic was 20 years ago. Today is considered monolithic, and we have this monolithic, but ERP system with the integrated, unified, what we call the source of truth. And we create this level, what we call hi-fi environment. Hi-fi environment with the high fidelity data, and it's what is maybe we're a bit unique. We have this data, and we have this contour when we work with the data. And here, it's certainly agentic AI helping us a lot with creating AI agents. The another one, what we call the algorithms, that is the hi-fi level, what is actually is helping us to do and to replace humans on the work. And it's certainly in their judgment, in terms of the routines, and we're seeing that connecting more data sources is helping us to eliminate the human errors. That is the 3 areas what we're progressing today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Roman?
All right, thanks. I think when I think about hiring, and I actually spoke to our head of PNC yesterday about this topic again, it's very interesting. So we're doing a lot of similar things, right? We're educating people. We're, what we already have. We creating champions, creating culture of AI. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's actually, we celebrate this. But then you can think of like, okay, that's existing people. How do you hire? How do you hire people who know AI, right? And as a product of European education, we always go to university, do exams, you get out, right, and you don't remember anything, right? It's probably the same for most of you, right? And then you actually start learning. Like real learning begins after university, unfortunately, right? Now with AI, you can learn much faster, much better. But universities and education provide still this personal connection. I remember the teachers. I remember in my master's in AI, like I always hated math, right? And there's this professor in game theory, and it's amazing. He explained so complicated topics that I actually went through all the classes, like just because of the teacher, right? My point is, hiring and interviewing will have to change, right? It has to be more personal, right? It cannot be a test, right? It just doesn't work anymore. People will cheat, right? And an assessment doesn't tell you who you're hiring for, right? And it turns out the way I've been doing interviews, kind of in a way a bit more unorthodox, it has to work. It's the only way, I think, right now. Right, is actually spending like 1 hour, 90 minutes with the person and be super interactive, asking questions. To do that, it's not easy because you need to be a domain expert in that, right? So you need to know something, right? and it's not scalable either, right? So you need to really filter down who you're going to interview, right? So filtering down, honestly, I don't think anyone knows how. Maybe we'll use AI to filter down candidates or have project submissions, right? But the final step of the interview will be very, very personal.
Thank you. So, and here, the another question comes. What kind of skills we are expecting from our candidates? Because you already mentioned that most probably we can improve, develop. So what kind of skills now more preferable? Maybe top skills that you prefer in your company. So maybe you, Roman, can start.
All right, start. First of all, AI literacy, right? With generative AI, you have an assistant, you can have a conversation, right? But most people cannot have conversations, right? Actually, that's, I think, where in universities, I actually don't know here, but for example, in Europe, we have sciences and humanities. And they're kind of at odds with each other quite often, right? With conversational skills are lacking, right? That's just not going to work, right? It's not going to work in the team. It's not going to work with AI either, right? So prompt engineering is actually just conversational skill, right? It's about getting information out of, your correspondent, right? So that's important. And really beyond that, it's maybe ethics, right? For AI specifically. I think we didn't mention, but you can use AI, it just amplifies who you are, right? If I'm a good person, it will amplify good in me or creativity or whatever, right? If I'm a terrible person, it will amplify those skills, right? So ethics kind of becomes important because you're a bad actor. You're not amplified to do more evil in the company, for example, in an organization or in society.
Okay.
I would say when we are talking about knowledge and skills, maybe it's not at this university level, but I would personally, we consider we more look at the traits and more on the character rather than skills. Because today it's, the knowledge is evolving so rapidly. It's no longer. In my times, it was to get a proper book translated from the English into Russian was like a random case. And today, we don't have the problems with the knowledge. On the skill side, we still see that the differences between the universities and the workplace, even for my kids, what we're looking for, it's not really your knowledges. We would like to see the resourcefulness, and we see that we would like to see hardworking skills, and we would like to, maybe what we need, the self-learning mode today. Because we see that it depends on the universities, given the admission process, you get the best talents, which is more static in the way. It depends on your cognitive skills through the IQ, how it's actually developed. But what we need at work, we need the self-learner, we need hard worker, and we need the team player. Because it's when you get into the work, to solve the problems, usually it's a problems which is really get to the complication level, which is not up to one single person to solve. And then we need to work together as a team to try and experiment. And that is not a blame game, but it's an experiment in trying and doing that. We need such kind of people. And in terms of how is learning process today with the AI, it's just given such a new mode. One is you don't need the instructor-led learning mode, micro-learning, and if you ask the ChatGPT what they think about your skills, they'll immediately will give you such an assessment which will be even better than the university professor will say. Because ChatGPT today understands what is actually what are your competence gaps are, what is actually skills, and very quickly it will be a personal tutor for you who will be teaching. But for us, what we see that is we need someone who is ready to stretch out. That means stretch tasks, hardworking, communicated, going together and working together. That is more what I call the character.
That's interesting.
And I think that the character thing and building on that, because I think the education that supports that is very much, I think, rooted in the liberal arts education. as well, where institutions were bringing kind of different people with different points of view coming together, teaches the notion or displays the notion of collaboration. And I think that is sort of like a fundamental thing as I'm always looking for in our people is like, can we hang out with you? Do you have a sense of humor? Okay, tell me about your, I mean, I'm just saying, so it's the spontaneity of, of this thing. And it is funny, I was thinking about this topic, recently, I was at the 100th birthday anniversary of my son-in-law's grandfather, okay? And it was I don't know, it was a big bash party, 200 people were there, and there was a moderator like this asking him questions. And one of the questions they asked him, and let me just tell you a little background about this guy. He's totally spry, reads books all the time, likes to drink whiskey when he's not driving his car, okay? But other than that, I mean, he's like really like current in this sort of situation of things. And so they asked the question, said, you've seen so much in your lifetime. And he was a chemist by way of PhD, and he was head of research and development, actually, at Dow Chemical, and then later International Paper. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. But the point is, his answer was, I've seen all these amazing technological tools, developed. He says, and the tool that's been the most important for me has been me, my head, my curiosity. I'm always interested in how things work, what drives them. And that's what is in. I came up to him after. I said, you've created this sort of situation, the rebut, or this sort of reason why AI can be so powerful. And so I think that's kind of the skill set, is like, if I can have people that think like that, at least I find it inspiring, okay? Because it's like, if I can be that person, then head of my company, it's how can I inspire other people to feel the same way? And so it's really about the humanity of the things. But I think AI is this artificial intelligence. We've got this thing called organic intelligence. Okay, and organic intelligence is, maybe has to step up its game, in this equation.
Yeah, I think some of us worried a lot now. In case of ChatGPT replacing us, in case of absence of sense of humor, I'm a bit afraid what I can do. So actually, the another question is about and then I move to your questions from the audience. So prepare in case if you have that. It goes to the stereotype side that most of the companies always complaining about universities. So they don't prepare them well. We don't need it. Most probably it's better to hire it after the school. And that's kind of stereotypic side still exists. And here is, I want to understand, university should be a bridge after the school and to prepare you for the career. And what kind of skills university can, or maybe skills or another experience can deliver to the students to be more ready for their work and for the career path. Because in case of having AI, maybe we don't need universities. That's kind of questions that comes to minds of some businesses. Are you ready to answer?
I'll start over here. We'll go back and forth like this.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But the point is, we need universities not the way they are now. Okay, we need places where people can gather, come together and exchange ideas and learn from each other. But now the mode of learning, which I think is what we're investigating, here is going to adapt and change. In other words, we've got some new tools in the toolbox, okay, for teaching and learning, and for understanding the world, understanding yourself. How do we use those? I'm not here to answer that question as much as say, well, universities need to answer that question. But I need people who are educated. I need people who are intelligent, okay, for what we're doing. So I don't want people that just, we're training on the job. No, I want people who come equipped with some of the skill sets. Only because I'm in the architecture profession, I generally only hire people who already have a professional degree, okay? But I've had interns, even in high school this year, and it's great to have this mix, and so it's fun to have this sort of the mix of some people who don't know anything and some people who know a lot, bring them together, and then you have this interesting exchange. So I think universities have a tremendous opportunity here, okay? Will they seize it? I don't know. But I think it's a I think it's one of the things about a conference like this is to kind of light fire under the educational institution to prove their relevance and their value proposition going forward. I need them to do that. Now, do I need as many architects to do, let's say, production work, various documentation stuff? The answer is no. Okay, I don't need to hire them to do a lot of tasks that spend a lot of time and spend a lot of money doing. So maybe I'm going to end up in the future for firms that are going to be hiring less architects, potentially. But the ones we do hire are going to have to be able to think and act and be civil and good people.
Thank you. Adolf?
Maybe I'll just look from the different perspective, because when we look at the universities, we should differentiate between schools, which actually gives the foundational knowledge. And the role of university for us is important that to identify talents of the person and to have the demonstrated interest. That is the area where actually they are keen to continue working on. Because today, what we see the graduates coming from the university, that number one missing part, what we have, it's self-motivation. They don't understand what they want from their life, what they want from their profession, how they would like to work. And I'll tell my personal story of my daughter. She graduated from the university. She wanted to, after the high school, she wanted to go to political sciences. But then the first day she entered the university, she changed her mind and she just decided to go into economics. And the US, it's the economics, it's like with maths, it's it's heavy subject. But on the second year, she went to the open class of the cognitive sciences. She got excited. And she graduated with the double majors in the economics and the cognitive science, very advanced. But then she joined the Deloitte in Chicago and started working there primarily. And she was pissed off, because she's a great in cognitive science. She's one of the few experts in psychology, in something. She's a great in the dinosaurs world. She understands that. But nobody needs that. And she get demotivated. And primarily she was nobody even knew what is actually her true assets are, what are her talents. And then we had the discussion with her. And for me, as a business person, as a CEO of the company, I told, look, what we need from you as a talent, it's a resourcefulness. You need to be a contributor to this team today. It's not tomorrow. And that is the reality of the world. That is something universities, what they need to do, is certainly to develop the talents people have. And you need to demonstrate this interest for the employer to understand. That is the demonstrated interest. You would like to continue working on this area. You will be like a self-motivated person who will be continue working and looking this area. That is, you align the interest, of the talents of the person with the needs of the company. That is the needed. But what we need the resourcefulness. And you have to say, okay, we have these cases, but it's a university, it's a universal knowledge. Try to work harder before internship or something. Try to communicate, to look for the certain challenges, corporate challenges. Try interconnect with the companies, and then you'll see. Because then the company would like to see a contributor, not someone who's actually still just questioning what they want to do.
That's right. Thank you. So yeah, actually, me struggle as well, choosing my profession, because my first profession was translator from Turkish to Russian, and I chose this profession because I didn't know what I want. Maybe public policy, international relations. So it was like a weak professional orientation. And in the end, I went to debate community, and I understood that I can deeply analyze different spheres. And I feel that maybe promotion, networking is something I'm passionate of. And you should, you're right, you should sometimes just pilot, experiment, deep dive. Maybe after 5 years, you totally change your profession and your interest. It's pretty okay. Yeah, that's you, right. Roman.
Yeah, I think there's going to be most boring panel because we'll agree. So that's. I think I would distinguish universities and trade schools. I think we're in point in history where we kind of think the right way is to go to university, and my brother just did that and he failed, right? Then he went into trade school still in informatics and computer science, right? So just accept the diversity sometimes, right? That's important. Even for universities, like not everyone can and should be in the university curriculum, right? But what's the role? I think the role is, and it's been for a long time since the Industrial Revolution actually, is to create specialists, right? And as I was as well doing my career and my education and went to PhD, right? I thought, great, that's the path to success, is to become a specialist, right? And it's been so ingrained that I felt bad about this for a long time, that I didn't feel like, but I don't quite consider myself a specialist. Even though I did this novel research stuff and, advanced science, right? It still doesn't sit right, but actually generalists are way more important now than ever. You have a specialist here on your phone, right? At will, right? So if you're generalist, you can connect dots in the company, right? And that's really important because you will have to work with tons of specialists, right? But they don't talk to each other. And if they don't talk to each other, they're not effective as a team, right? But if you have a bunch of generalists, they're actually building bridges, right? So university's role in the age of AI specifically has to be beyond all that, folks have said, is to actually create generalists as well, right? And don't treat it as a bad thing necessarily.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this fruitful discussion, and I hope it was interesting.